Hi guys, it's your favorite German agate dealer Joshua from Agate Bay, and I've been asked today to talk about Chinese agates and how to differentiate the different mining areas from just looking at the stones, which is one of the harder things to do, but if you know which indicators to look for, then it's actually not that quite hard to do that. And if you have any suggestions about what you would like to learn about more in agates in general, then just send me a message or comment below any of my videos and I'll try to pick that up and talk about this topic in one of my future videos. So, back to Chinese agates. I was in China, I think probably around 6 or 7 times when the mines were still open. The government closed the mining area probably around 5 years ago. It was first said that it was because of the Olympic Winter Games that were held in that area, but the mines have not been opened up after the Winter Games have been already held in last year there. So I think there's pretty much no reason why they would open it up again, because they also planted trees inside of all of the quarries where the agates have been found. These are actually some of the last Chinese agates that I have, and we just finished photographing the last boxes of Chinese agates that I've never been offering before. So once this stock is done, then I just don't have anything new to offer anymore, because it's just getting very, very rare to get at least a decent quality standard. So I'm going to start with the agates from the middle class mine area, and I turned them around so you can see them from the back side. The middle class mine agates, they typically have a lot more rough shape of the nodule, while all of these are pretty much in a round shape, which is very desirable for pretty much any kind of agate. And a lot of people would say that the Chinese agates have the most sexy backsides, probably just because they're so perfectly symmetrical and round in many cases. And that's the case for all of the different mining areas. But the agates from the middle class mine, they have a lot of dents and bumps that make them look a little bit like golf balls, for example, because they have these tiny dents in the nodule, and that's how you can pretty easily differentiate them from the other different mining areas. And you have to imagine there's not only 3 mining areas, but it's a huge area, and they've just been separated in 3 to make it more easy to actually get to some point where you can differentiate them. But there have been probably like 50-60 different places where they've been digging, but they're differentiated in these 3 main areas. So the agates from the middle class mine have the biggest variety in colors as well. So you can have red colors, sometimes with druzy or calcite crystals inside of them. So the most common location where the calcite crystals in the druzy appear is definitely from the middle class mine area. You can have them in red color, you can have them in pink color, you can have them in floaters, you can have them with flow channels. So there's just a huge variety of habits that can appear in these agates. And blue, for example, is the most commonly to appear at this location. There's few cases at the traditional mine where blue color can appear as well, but most of blue color is found at the middle class mine area. And these are also the pieces that have like the thickest appearing bands, which are the least translucent. So you will typically not find a lot of parallax in these pieces at all, for example, because the bands are just very thick. Here's another nice piece where you can see the druzy opening, and most commonly you will have this kind of yellow, brownish yellow, greenish yellow color appear in these Chinese agates. So this is rather showing the most typical colors from this area, while the yellow is very bright in this piece. In most pieces it will not quite be as bright as in this one. And these are all pieces that we just photographed and that will come up to the website over the next few weeks and months probably. But after these have been sold, then there's just nothing I can offer anymore. Then this is a fantastic quality specimen from the middle class mine, where you can see it has these super bright blue bands in combination with some chromatography, red and black as well. So this is just a really nice contrasting specimen, also in a very good size. So this is probably like 3.5 inches in size, so very good size specimen. So here you can see already a little bit of the variety of the Chinese agates in terms of the colors from middle class mine, and I will now head to the pieces from traditional mine, which are pretty much almost impossible to differentiate from the specimens from the high class mine. So I would say typically the agates from the high class mine are coming from a little bit harder rock than the agates from traditional mine, All of these agates are mined from very hard host rock, from an andesite, a volcanic host rock. And typically the agates from high class mine would have a little bit more of the host rock initially attached to the stone, while the agates from traditional mine, they're a little bit more easy to be taken out of the host rock. But that's pretty much the only difference, because the shape of the nodule of both of these places is very smooth and yeah, pretty much impossible to tell. But from the inside it's a little bit more easy, because the agates from the traditional mine, they typically have a lot of this fiery red color. A lot of times actually also with amethysts in different shades, sometimes very dark amethyst, sometimes medium or light amethyst, but a lot of them have druzy openings with some amethyst inside. But the most efficient indicator is this bright red fiery color. Then this one's also a piece from traditional mine, which looks a little bit like a sad cartoon character, but here you can also see these typical saturated red bands, which are just a dead away indicator for the agates from the traditional mining area. And here's what I've been talking about previously a little bit, with this kind of indication of a blue band. Sometimes they might have some yellow or blue or purple, sometimes even a little bit slight different color tones in them, but the main color in these will be this red color. And the agates from high class mine, like I said, they're pretty much not possible to tell from the outside, except they might have a little bit more of the host rock attached, which you can see here. But other than that, they're pretty easy to identify because of this bright yellow color they have. And this yellow color also has a lot more translucency compared to the one from traditional mine. Here the bands are much more thick and compact, while here it looks like they have a little translucency, especially if you hold a strong light onto them. Then you can see that it's actually possible to look a little bit deeper inside of the bands versus the ones from middle class mine. And also here in some cases you can see in these two pieces that they have amethyst in the center druzy, but that's rather a rare occurrence compared to the traditional mine. So in the high class mine pieces it's sometimes happening, but not quite as often as in traditional mines. So these are two rather exceptional pieces for the location, but all three have this typical bright, little bit translucent yellow color, and here you can also see a little bit of the host rock attached. And these are the main indications of how you can differentiate the different Chinese agates just from looking at them. So I hope this helps you, and I'll probably do another video about agates in general, not only from China, on how to differentiate them, not only looking from the husk but also from the indications from inside, like factors of how tight the banding is, how the banding is formed, how the shape of the nodule is, and maybe do a worldwide edition of this kind of topic as well. So I hope you enjoyed learning about Chinese agates, and I hope you'll be back for more videos from Agate Bay. Thanks for watching.